hands, but I know that there are probably many of you here in this room who are people who like to make picture puzzles. And if you've ever gotten one of those puzzles that's got like thousands of pieces in it, you know that the first time you open the box and you dump all those pieces out in the middle of the table, it looks like a formidable task. And as you're going through the pieces and you're looking at them, you're coming across some of them and you say, they must have snuck these in from another puzzle. They cannot possibly all fit into this picture. And yet you know that probably the box was sealed when you got it or something like that. You know that somehow or other they're all going to fit. They're all going to fit into a brand pattern. Well, at that moment, you are confronted with an old philosophical problem that's called the problem of the one and the many. How do you fit the many into one without losing the uniqueness and the distinctness of each and every individual piece? Because every piece in that puzzle is important, and every piece is different. The design is different. The coloration is slightly different. The little specks of things that go through it are different. Some of them are radically different, and as I said before, you think they probably come from somewhere else. And unless you're one of these people that makes a puzzle with scissors, and I don't know anybody who does, you realize that your task is going to be to find out how they fit together. Now, fortunately, what you have on the box cover is the pattern for wholeness, the pattern for unity. And you use that as a guide, and you have a certain amount of faith that this is the picture that's referred to on the cover of the box. And you begin to look at each piece very carefully, seeing how it fits in conjunction with the other pieces that are around it. That's the challenge, isn't it? And it's a challenge not only with puzzles, it certainly is a challenge with people. Anybody who's trying to bring a group of people together are doing something like making a puzzle. They want to create unity out of all of these people, but they don't want to have people feel left out. And people are even more unique than the pieces of a puzzle. So putting people together in such a way that they form a unity is a great challenge. Jesus knew that that was going to be the challenge of the church. That all those who were being saved, who were being called into the church, were going to be part of God's infinite plan, God's final picture. And how they were going to fit in, we didn't really have a cover or a map to go by, but we did have the power of the Spirit leading us. Each and every person has to be respected for their uniqueness because God made them, made us, each a unique creation. And it's only with the help of the Spirit that we might be guided to see how every person, with their unique talents and abilities, with their unique personality and background, will fit together in order to make up the body of Christ, which is the final image that we're all intended to make. You know, if you emphasize too much the unity and lose sight of the people, that's no good. If you emphasize individuality too much, and everybody wants to have their own way of doing things and have their own voice and not cooperate with anyone else, then you lose the unity, don't you? It's a real puzzle, and it's a real problem. You know, when occasionally when we celebrate a marriage, the couple chooses to light at some point in the ceremony something called a unity candle. And there are 3 candles in the unity candle, as most of you know. There's one in the center that's usually the biggest candle, and the 2 that are on the sides. And the 2 that are on the sides represent the bride and the groom individually. Sometimes they even bring their baptismal candle with them, and they're put on the outside. And those 2 candles are lighted at the beginning of the ceremony. And then after they take their vows, they light the candle in the middle. Well, the question almost always comes up, well, Father, do we blow out the side candles when we light the center candle? And my answer is always no, because the center is the unity, that represents the unity. But in order to achieve that unity, it doesn't mean that you blow out your individual candle, that you don't remain the people that God created you to be. The beauty of marriage is that the 2 of you, with all of your uniquenesses, with all of your great qualities in your flaws as well, have to find a way to work together and to make love work in a unity that is even greater than the two of you individually. And that takes Christ to help you in that endeavor, in the work of the Spirit, just as it does in the church as a whole. And that's why your life has to be filled with Christ and built around Christ, and why you have to have your hearts open to the power and working of the Spirit in order for that daunting task to be accomplished. When I was the pastor over at St. Joseph's in Lewiston, at the entrance to the church, there was a beautiful picture. And I can't tell you how often I looked very carefully at this picture. I don't know who the artist was that did it, but this artist had a beautiful face of Christ. As a matter of fact, it was Christ with the crown of thorns on, so it was probably the Christ who was suffering. And when you looked at the picture from a distance, you saw very clearly the face of Jesus Christ. As you got closer, you noticed something very, very interesting. That picture was entirely made up of the faces of people. People of every race and nationality and background, young, old, people who were disabled, people who were healthy, athletes. The whole gamut of human beings. The face of Christ was made up of a mosaic. It was a mosaic of different faces. And that, I thought, was one of the most beautiful expressions of what church is to be. Guided by the Spirit, we are like a great mosaic, or like a puzzle. Each one of us has a place. It can never be complete unless those whom God has called find their place in this wonderful enterprise. And the Spirit helps us to unite each other and to unite ourselves with each other in the body of Christ, to form that perfect image of Christ, who we are all intended to form as his body, the church. That's the work of the Spirit, continually guiding us with all our great talents and abilities, with all our imperfections, to find how we fit together with one another in order to create the image of Christ. I was asked by the bishop to read a letter today. Dear parishioners of St. Teresa of Calcutta Parish, last weekend you learned that Father Rob Lupo had been assigned as pastor of St. Kateri Tekakwitha Parish in Calais. This week I write to inform you that I have asked Father Richard McLaughlin to serve as chaplain in the two major hospitals in the Portland area, as well as in the Portland Peninsula and Island parishes on the weekends. With his typical generosity, Father McLaughlin has accepted this new assignment, effective August 1st, 2013. Additionally, the Personnel Board has recommended to me, and I have accepted, that with the availability of 2 members of the Society for the African Missions, I reassign Blessed Teresa of Calcutta Parish with St. Joseph Parish in Bridgeton. Since the pastoral plan, telling anew the story of Jesus, first initiated the clustering process, there has been an openness to consider such realignments, and in a few instances others have taken place. Therefore, also effective August 1st, Father Innocent Okozi will be pastor of Blessed Teresa of Calcutta Parish, in addition to his responsibilities as pastor of St. Joseph Parish in Bridgeton, which becomes effective July 1st, 2013. Furthermore, Father Samuel Mazza will be the parochial vicar of both parishes effective August 1st. I understand that you have developed some relationships with Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish in Auburn, and in the course of the coming year, under the leadership of Father Okozi, you can assess how best to continue growing as a faith community, continuing the existing relationship with Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish whenever possible, and developing new ones with St. Joseph Parish in Bridgeton. Please do not read this change in alignments as a mandate to form a new parish. The change is primarily about sharing of a pastor and parochial vicar between 2 parishes. I take this opportunity to thank Father McLaughlin and Father Lupo for their generous ministry among you. I know that Father Okosi and Father Mabsa are excited about beginning their ministry among you. Please welcome them with your customary warmth so that together you may become a visible presence of the Lord in your area of the diocese. May God bless you with his peace. Please know that you are in my prayers. Yours truly, Bishop Richard Malone, Apostolic Administrator of the Portland Diocese. So beginning August 1st, Blessed Teresa of Calcutta Parish, which is here in Mechanic Falls and Oxford, will become part of a new cluster. Still be a parish, just like you always have been, but you will be aligned with the parishes in Bridgeton and Freiburg under a new pastoral team. There will be a new pastor assigned down in Auburn, and that pastor, Father Lariviere, will be living, because he will be part of the oratory of St. Philip Neri, he will be living at Holy Family in Lewiston. That sounds confusing to you. It's a little bit confusing to me as well, because I only got this paper a day and a half ago, so I'm still puzzling through it myself. But I do think that there is a unique relationship that's possible between here and Bridgeton and Freiburg, and I know that you share many experiences and so forth, so I think it can work out very well. As I say, the Lord is always calling us to new expressions of unity, and with the Spirit to guide us, we hope that we can continue to grow in being the image of Christ. I have to say, the 4 years that I have been here and at Immaculate Heart of Mary has been beautiful, but it's also been a real challenge. Probably the greatest challenge that I've had as a priest for 39 years. Mostly the difficulty in forming relationships with people when you're continually driving back and forth. Last month, for example, I drove over 1,000 miles related to my work alone, going back and forth between here and Auburn and between here and the Chancery, working out various things, particularly with regard to St. Louis Church. So the biggest regret that I've had is not getting to know each and every one of you personally as I wish I could have, and as I had done in the past, where I have not had as many places to cover. But we do the best with what the Lord has given us, and we take each and every blessing that he gives us each day as an opportunity to serve him in all humility with all of our flaws and failures and limitations. And we do the best that we can. The beautiful thing is that I can be with you until the end of July, to the beginning of August, and so we will have, and I will only be here in St. Teresa and Blessed Teresa of Calcutta Parish for the months of June and July. So that will be a nice time to get to know you in order to say goodbye. So God bless us all.